Welcome dear students to the chapter gravitation. Now here you see that this GIF it is moving. Earlier this Isaac Newton he was sitting here and that apple fell. So this was your beginning of the gravitation from where it came. Now we will be discussing this one that everything he saw that it was coming downwards towards the earth. So from where he began, let us see. Now gravitation means the attraction of anything. See, gravitation means the attraction of anything towards the earth's surface. See, gravitation means like if anything is there, if it is hold above, it will directly fall down to the earth's surface. If anything kept on above surface, it will just fall towards the earth's surface. So Newton was the first one who observed this and saw this, that why anything placed at a height it is always attracted towards the earth, why it comes towards the earth, why it does not goes above. So this all things they were explained by the word gravitation. Now gravitation means it is a pull by the earth towards itself. Means the earth it has a force by which it pulls anything towards the center of it. Now also one thing they were he thought of that if everything is attracted by the earth, then why the moon is not attracted by the earth? Why the moon does not fall on the earth's surface? So these things were also explained by the universal law of gravitation. We are going to discuss that one here in this chapter now. So the motion of the moon around the earth that was explained due to centripetal force. The force which was responsible. The force which was responsible that was known as centripetal force. Means the moon which was revolving around the earth that was due to the centripetal force. This is due to your centripetal force. And the centripetal force is provided by the force of attraction of the earth. And this force it was provided due to the force of attraction of the earth. If there were no such force, the moon would pursue a uniform straight line motion. Means what is say that why the moon revolves around the earth. Suppose if this is the earth, then why the moon revolves around it? What was the reason? And what will happen if this attracting force is not there with the earth? Then in that case, if the attracting force is suddenly removed from the earth, what will happen that the moon which is continuously revolving around the earth, it will follow a tangential path and it will elapsed in this way. Means if this is my earth and this moon is continuously revolving around it, then if the centripetal force means the force of attraction of the earth is suddenly removed, then what will happen that this one will straightly go in this way. It will leave the periphery of our earth. Now what was universal law of gravitation? We are going to discuss it now. Now what was your universal law of gravitation? Let us see. The universal law of gravitation says that everybody in the universe, means everybody in the universe, they attract. See, everybody in the universe attracts every other body with a force which is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. So this is known as the universal law of gravitation. This is your universal law of gravitation. It says that anything whatever is present on the earth surface, it attracts any other body which is present on the earth surface. Means कोई भी दो चीज एक दूसरे को they will attract towards one another. Suppose if this is one thing, this is another, they will always attract each other towards each other. They will always attract towards each other. Now this is given by the product of their masses. Now they will attract by a force. If I am pulling something, then I will have some force. Then that force is directly proportional to the product of their masses. Suppose here it is considered that two substances are there. One substance is M1, another one is M2. They have the mass M1 and M2. Now, and this is the distance between them. R is the distance between them. Then according to, here you see, let A and B of masses M1 and M2 are placed at a distance of R from each other, and F is the force between them. Then according to this law, now if you see the law, what is written here? You see the law, the force is directly proportional to the product of their masses. So you see the force is F, and this is proportional to what is said the product of their masses. What is the mass of the first one? The mass of the first one is m1 and the mass of the second one is m2, and that is written here. It is proportional to the mass. Another one, it is said that it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Now what is it? Square of the distance between them? Let's see. Force is proportional to inverse, means the reciprocal of the distance. Now this is the distance and they say that it is proportional to the square of the distance. So this is your square of the distance between them, and this is the universal law of gravitation. What it says that it is directly proportional to the product of the masses, and it is proportional to the inversely proportional to the distance of the square between them. So combining these two, now these two, you see in both the cases, here also on the left side you have F, here also on the left side you have F. So it means that both of them we can combine. So F is directly proportional to, if you are going to multiply these two, then you see your R square will come in the denominator and M1 and M2 will come in the numerator. So that is what is written here. You see F is directly proportional to M1 into M2 by R square. Now to remove this proportional symbol, we use a letter that is known as G, and this G is known as the constant, which is known as universal gravitational constant. Now this gravitational force, it has certain properties of it. Now what are these properties? We are going to see one by one. The first property is that the gravitational force is the weakest force in nature. Means whatever the force that strikes your mind, everything is the strongest except this force. Means except the gravitational force, all other forces are strong, but this gravitational force, it is the weakest force in nature. Another one, it is an attractive force, means it will always attract, it will never repel. मतलब किसी भी चीज को ये दूर नहीं भेजेगा. It will always pull anything towards itself. Another one is, it is a mutual force. Mutual force means the first body attracts the second and the second body attracts the first. मतलब if one is working, the another will also work. Both of them will have to work, and that is why it is said that it is a mutual force. Another one, it is a central force. It acts along the line joining the center of the bodies. Means it will always act along the center of the bodies. Another one, it is mass and distance dependent. Means it is always dependent on the mass and distance. मतलब अगर दो, if I have to attract two things, then it is dependent on the distance. Smaller the distance, more is the force. It obeys the inverse square law that I have already said. It is a long range force. Long range force. It decreases with distance as per the inverse square and becomes zero at infinite distance. Means when the distance is very far, this force is no longer in use. And the last one is, it does not depend on the medium between the interacting body. Means whatever the medium may be, चाहे कहीं भी रखा हो, it is always working. Means it does not depend on the medium between the interacting bodies. Means whatever the medium may be, अगर इसको suppose it is kept above, it is kept below, then that does not matter wherever it may be kept. It does not depend on the medium. Now this universal law of gravitation, it has certain uses and they have certain importance. Now what are the importance of this one? We are going to discuss it here. What are the importance and why was it used? So the gravitational constant that we saw here, this G letter, it has a fixed value, and the value of this G, it is normally taken as 6.7 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton per meter square and kg minus 2. This is the value of G. Means the value of G, that gravitation constant, the value is your 6.7 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This is the value of your G. Now here, this importance of law of gravitation, this law of gravitation, it has explained certain things. It has mainly explained four things, and those four things are, the first one is, it explains the force. It force that binds us to the earth. मतलब हम किस वजह से अर्थ से जुड़े हुए हैं. The force that we are, the force that we are bound to the earth. This is the force, the first explanation. Second one is the motion of moon around the earth. Means why the moon moves around the earth. Why the moon moves around the earth. This was also explained by this universal law of gravitation. The next one is the motion of planets. The motion of planets. Motion of planets around the sun. The motion of planet around the sun means the sun is the central body and the planets are moving around it, and this was also explained by the universal law of gravitation. Matlab the attracting force, it is acting from the center, and that is why they are able to revolve in this way. And the last thing was number 4, it explained the tides. वो जो समंदर में लहर आती हैं, the tides, they were due to moon and sun. Due to moon and sun. So these were the 4 things that were explained by the universal law of gravitation. So now you see I am just going it back once again. Here in the first case, what did we see, that what is gravitation? Let's see what is gravitation. See, this was the diagram. This is, suppose Isaac Newton was sitting, then this apple, it came and hit him, then something struck his mind, then also he was continuing his work. Means this is just a graphical represent or a pictorial representation what has happened. Then another one thing came and fall, then also he ignored, then this eggs came, then he began to notice that why everything is coming downwards. So from there he concluded that some force is there. Now, Newton's law of gravitation. Here it explains that everything in the universe, it attracts each other. That is inversely proportional to the square of the distance and directly proportional to the product of the masses. Means F is directly proportional to the product of the masses, and F is directly proportional, inversely proportional to 1 by r square. Now when combining these two, we will get F is directly proportional to m1 m2 by r square. Now we have to remove this proportional, so we use equal and g, then m1 m2 by r square. Now the value of this g is 6.7, 6.7 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kg square. This is the value of that F. Now this were certain properties were there. For them there were certain properties. They are the weakest force, they are attractive force, they are mutual force, they are central force, this is dependent on mass and distance, it obeys the inverse square law, it is a long range force, and it does not depend on the medium. And the last thing was that it explained these 3 things. So a very short chapter, and stopping the explanation here. Next we will continue in the next video. Thank you for watching up to here. Have a good day.